everyone. I'm going to call to order Woodstock's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for December 17th, 2020. This is our last meeting of the calendar year. I'll just note the time is, I got 7:32. I'll record that. And then I'll go through a roll call. So as commissioners know, just let me know that you're here, even though I can see that you're here. So we pick it up on the record. Joe Adaletta,
I'm here.
Mark Blackmer,
Here.
Sid Blodgett,
Here.
Gail Dickinson,
Here.
Nancy Frazier, Jeff Gordon, I'm here, Jeff Marcotte,
Here.
David Morse told me he's unable to attend tonight, Doug Porter,
Here.
Fred Rich,
Here.
Dwight Reinowitz told me that he's unable to work tonight. Come here tonight because of work. And Tim Young.
Here.
All right. So I will note for the record that we do have a quorum. And then we have our Pledge of Allegiance. I actually have my flag in the background. So we do have a flag. But Jeff Marcotte, do you want to lead us off in our tradition of Pledge of Allegiance?
I will. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. That takes us to meeting rules and guidelines. I know commissioners know this. Any members of the public who have not heard about our meeting rules and guidelines, as you know, we're meeting by Zoom following the governor's executive orders. However, otherwise, we still follow the various rules that we follow if we were meeting in person. I do ask that you keep yourself on mute throughout the meeting, so that way we don't pick up background noise. If you do wish to speak, you can raise your virtual hand, or if you're on phone, it is star, let me see, I have it here. I think it's *9 to let us know. We will try, if you do wish to speak, you need to be recognized, and it does need to be to whatever agenda item that we are on, and I'll recognize you if appropriate to do. It does take us a little bit of time just to scan through the gallery, just to make certain we don't miss anybody who does wish to speak. Otherwise, if you do wish to see a live transcript, you can click on Zoom. There's a red button at the top left called Live, and you can click on it, and it tries to do a transcript. Otherwise, the meeting documents that we received in time that will be for this meeting are posted on the town's webpage, and the meeting agenda has a link to it, but it's on the planning and zoning page, and you can click on it and see the documents. Any documents that we did not receive in time and thus could not post online in time will not be for tonight's meeting. Other than that, does anyone have any questions about our meeting rules and guidelines? Hearing none, that takes us to designation of alternates. We are in need of an alternate, which would be Doug. You okay being seated, or do you have any conflicts on any items?
I have conflicts on 2 of your 5 commercial zoning permits.
So you'll be fine for us to seat you, and then you'll let me know which ones you'll have to recuse yourself, if that's okay?
Sure, it's going to be C and E.
Okay, all right. So we'll note that. I also want to note for the record that on agenda items 8A and 8C, we don't at this point have approval documentation from Northeast District Department of Health. Therefore, we can take these items up tonight. We will not be able to vote upon the items, other than we would have to table the items so that way we can get those documents from the local public health authority that are required. Otherwise, as far as my chair's report, just a couple of quick things. At the last meeting, we wanted to see if we could do our annual legal training session for March 4th. That would replace the regular Thursday meeting we had for that that first Thursday of the month. And Attorney Roberts, I know you're on the call here, but he had told me that he would be okay for that. So as is our usual, we'll like to get whatever questions from commissioners, and then I can get them all together. We like to try to give Attorney Roberts enough heads up for questions, so we can try to get them in by early February. That will give him enough time to go through some things. I'll take a look at whatever notes I have for questions that might have come up during this past year that we would want to bring up. And as usual, we'll have a somewhat quick review of the basics of planning and zoning and that type of stuff to refresh us and update us. Speaking of educational information, at the last meeting I mentioned about the Connecticut Bar Association's land use training seminar. It's usually in person. I attended it some years ago. This time around, it's going to be by video, I believe. It's on Saturday, March 6th. It's a very good event. If you would like to register, please let Tina know. And because I don't know what the cost of it is, but we do have money in our budget to cover registration. If you attend, I think they give you the booklet. If you don't attend, there's a nice booklet you can still get. And I would encourage to try to get it if you don't have it, or even if you have prior copies. Every time they come up with the new booklet, I always get one because it's really good resource and goes into a lot of good depth. So if you're able to attend, let Tina know about that. And then the other is my usual thank yous for all of you as commissioners for our meetings that we're doing, and also for staff for the work that gets done behind the scenes, and also to get everything set up literally for this meeting. So thank you for that. And also happy holidays to everybody. This is the last night of Hanukkah for those who celebrate, and wish everybody also a happy Christmas and happy New Year. Hopefully we'll all have a better 2021 than 2020 has turned out to be, unfortunately. Other than that, that takes us to citizens' comments. Are there any comments from members of the public not on any agenda item? Okay. We have the commission's meeting minutes, which are our meeting minutes of November 19th. What does the commission wish to do?
Move we approve. This is Gail.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, sorry, Tim.
Who second? Was that you, Tim? Or Joe?
Take your pick.
I think Tim Young.
Flip a coin.
All right, I'll mark down Tim. So motion made by Gail Dickinson, seconded by Tim Young, to approve as presented the commission's meeting minutes from November 19th, 2020. Any discussion? Anybody have any edits? All right, hearing none, I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmore,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
and Tim Young.
Aye.
That so passes. So we will note that. That then takes us to, well, we have no preliminary discussion, so we can go past that. We have a number of non-residential zoning permits. The first one is agenda item 8A, the ARC 22 Route 171. This is a change of business from Pine Knoll Real Estate to ARC Bakery. This is one of the ones we're pending NDDH approval, so we can take this item up tonight. If the commission wishes, we're happy to do that, and then we'll end up having to table this to our January meeting. But if we wanted to take this up to at least discuss it, I'll defer to the commission if the commission wishes to start taking this one up tonight and then table, or
Jeff,
Joe?
I just have two quick questions and then I'm okay to table it if that's the wish
Sure.
of the
No,
other.
why don't I just ask Tina as staff if she has anything relative
Okay.
to this other than NDDH? It's a complete application, Tina, and there's nothing that otherwise raises any zoning question to you?
Yes, it's a complete application other than waiting for NDDH approval. The fire marshal and building official will also be involved in this process after zoning is
And
able
just for
to.
the record, this application is also also including a sign.
Yes,
So that's all lumped into one application. Before I get to you, Joe, I'm just want to offer to the applicant or the applicant's representative, if there's anything you wish to speak to about the application, you are not required to. It's an opportunity if you wish. If you wish, just let me know. If not, then I'll move forward with questions from the commission. Let me just take a look at the screen here. Yes, if you can, did you wish to speak? You're here. If you, I don't know if we have to unmute you, or if you have to unmute yourself.
you,
There. And if you can just please state your name for the record. Thank you for coming tonight.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer Ritchie. I'm the Director of Community Enterprise for the ARC Eastern Connecticut. And we are waiting for approval from NDDH. And once we get that, we hope to go forward on this.
Thank you. Joe, you had some questions you wanted to,
Yes, two quick questions. One, there were two drawings in the packet, and I just want to confirm that what we will be looking at for approval once we're ready to put this on the agenda is the November 2nd drawing and not the October initial sketch.
Absolutely. It's the floor plan.
if you can
It's
just
the
state your name for the record and I'll recognize you.
Jennifer Ritchie.
Please go ahead.
It is the one that is the 55.3 KB with the one bathroom, as opposed to the prior in October. That was the two bathrooms.
Okay, thank you. So for the record, I'm looking at the A1.1 drawing dated November 2nd, 2020, as the one we'll be discussing.
Correct.
Okay. We'll
Okay,
note that for the record.
okay. And then the other question on NDDH, we did get a change of use approval, I guess, from NDDH. Is there another document relative to the sanitation or cooking process that you're waiting for?
We got an application form, but we haven't received an actual approval from NDDH.
Okay,
correct.
And just for the record, nothing against NDDH, that they've been running slow. I'm sure they have staffing issues, especially given huge amounts of stuff going on relative to public health's involvement in the whole COVID pandemic and the rollout of the vaccine. So we do know that they are running a bit slow, but that's just the application, Joe. So
okay.
I believe, Tina, you did check this week with them, and we know that there's a number of applications pending their finalization.
Yeah, they're a few weeks out.
And is their approval a little different than for a single family house because this is a bakery? There are other standards that they're approving for this?
Yes, it would be different.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Anything else from commissioners? Just want to make certain commissioners have an opportunity. Did you have something, Delia, you wanted to ask?
Do they have to do that certificate that other bakeries have to do?
I do not know for that.
Other
Does-
times that bakeries have been approved, they've had to get a certificate from planning and zoning.
Okay. Well, because we're going to have to table this anyway, we can look into that certificate of bakery. I know we've done them in the past for some of the farm stores, but I don't know. I guess Tina, you'll have to look into that to see
Yeah, I do.
about the
Right.
certificate of bakery. That does fall within planning and zoning purview.
Right, okay.
So
You
we'll have-
also did one in that home occupation that sells baked goods at farmers markets.
we can check on that and see whatever that requirement is. So,
I'll move to table this until next month's meeting then.
our next month's meeting is January 21st.
So I would move to table this application until January 21st meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Mark Blackmer, second.
Okay. So a motion by Joe Adaletta, seconded by Mark Blackmer to table agenda item 8A to our January 21st, 2021 meeting. I'll go through the roll. Oh, first of all, is there any discussion on the motion? I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
Doug, is this one you're recused on or no?
No, I,
Okay. Fred Rich
Aye.
and Tim Young.
Aye.
I take it that that passes. Okay, so we'll note that for our agenda for the January meeting. The next one is agenda item 8B. This is 1226 Route 169, change your business from an insurance office to real estate office. Anybody recused on this one? Okay,
I'm not, Jeff,
you're not.
I'm not recusing myself, but I do work for the Burnses on a regular basis. But I do work for a lot of people, including Jeff Gordon.
You have? I don't believe that that would need you to be recused. So I'll open up for Tina, from your perspective as CEO. It's a complete application, and anything of concern, or you're okay with it from a zoning point of view?
From a zoning point of view, it's a similar kind of use. It's great to see that building finally going to be used for something. It's been vacant for quite some time.
And there's a sign permit bundled into this, is my understanding.
Yes.
So we'll note that for the record. I'll open it up to the applicant or the applicant's representative. You're welcome to speak on the application if you wish. If you're present, you are not required to. If you wish to speak, just let me know.
This is Effie Final.
Yes, please, go ahead. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting.
You're welcome.
Is there anything you wish to
Chairman of
speak?
the Planning Commission in Eastford. So I know what you're doing.
Okay, well, thank you for your service there. Is there anything you wish to speak about the application? You're not required to.
No,
Okay,
I don't think there's anything. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I'll open up to commissioners. Any questions from commissioners? Joe?
Just a quick question on the application. Item number 5, I just couldn't read part of the response. It says number 5 is how many employees are planning to work out of this office. It has 0/something. I'm not quite sure what.
Mrs. Vinyl, did you want to answer that as far as how many employees?
There are no employees. We are independent contractors and we come and go. And right now there are 6 of us.
I'm just trying to discern what the writing is on the application.
I'm sorry, it's my handwriting.
That's okay.
So is that supposed to mean independent, or is my
They're
understanding?
independent contractors.
Okay.
They're not employees.
Okay,
Okay. So it's just independent contractors. Okay. That was the only question I had.
anything from other commissioners? Otherwise, what's the wish of the commission?
This is Dickinson. Move we approve.
Is there a second?
Fred Rich, move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
So motion by Gail Dickinson, seconded by Fred Rich to approve the application as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
aye,
and Timothy Young.
Aye.
I take it that that passes. And Tina, you'll do whatever magic you do for post-approval processing.
Yes.
Okay, that is
Thank
so,
you very
thank you. The next item is Agenda 8C. This is YMCA Camp Woodstock, 42 Camp Road, Montessori School location in Dining Hall. This is for a daycare for children ages 3 to 6. This is another one that we're waiting for NDDH approval. Therefore, we are not able to make a final decision on this. We'll end up having to table this to our January meeting. Doug, you had your hand up?
Yes, I built the building and I've been working with the YMCA, giving them information on how to make it available for Mrs. Dearborn. So I'll have to recuse myself.
And we'll note that for the record that you're recused. Tina, anything otherwise from your perspective as CEO? Did we lose Tina? We might have. Let me just see if she's here.
No, there she is.
There she is. Anything from your perspective otherwise as CEO?
Sorry about that. My computer, I don't know what's going on with my internet. Are we talking about 42 Camp Road? Because I
Yep.
cut out for a little bit there.
Correct.
We don't have NDDH approval on this one. So to me, it is a similar kind of use with daycare and Montessori school. But the health department does have to provide approval.
Anything else from CEO point of view? Otherwise, everything else is okay with you relative to the application?
Yes, everything else is fine.
Okay. And then I just had one question, just to ask you, but I can probably ask the applicant under whether there's going to be a sign. It says possibly. We would need to know if a sign is to be included with this permit application or not. The reason is if it is, it's bundled into the permit. If it is not, then what happens is a later sign permit would have to be pulled that you would have to handle, Tina, and that engenders a state fee. Whereas if there's going to be a sign that's bundled into this permit, there's no extra state fee. So I just want to ask, and actually I'll open this up for the applicant. I know you're here. You're welcome to speak to the application if you wish. You're not required, but my question is, are you looking to bundle the sign permit in with this application or not?
Sure, we can do that. At first, we weren't sure if Camp Woodstock would allow us to have a sign. So the type of sign that we would be looking for would be just something small on the building, so families would know which building it was, or possibly one of the type that you put into the ground that can be removable, so it's not permanent, since we're not there in the summer.
So we'll take it that that a sign permit is to be bundled into this permit then. Doesn't mean you have to
Yes.
put a sign.
And if I could, right.
Yes. Yeah.
If I could also ask a question regarding the health permit. Obviously, this process is new to me because I've had the Montessori school in my home, so I didn't have to go through this zoning process before. As far as the state of Connecticut Office of Early Childhood, I'm in the process of applying for my license to have either a group daycare or a child daycare, and those vary based on the number of students that they would approve that I have. In order for me to get the state to come out, I have to, fill out my whole application packet, and part of that is initial approval for the childcare, which obviously includes you and building, fire, and health. I've been in touch with the health department, and they said that they can't let me fill out an application until the state comes. I've spoken with the state of Connecticut license agency, and they said, no, they have to have some type of initial approval from the health department first. Then they come out and then they'll make recommendations, and then I would fill out the health application. So I'm getting a little bit of different guidance. The state really won't come out until I have my whole packet completely filled out. So I did contact the health department again, and I haven't heard back from them. So I'm not sure if maybe I'm too far ahead in the process and I just need this one form for my application filled out, or if I need the complete permit. And I don't know if you've experienced this before with daycares, and maybe you could give me some guidance.
My understanding is, and I actually spent some time looking through what's online for the Office of Early Childhood, as with any type of licensing by the state, it is lengthy number of documents and pages.
Yeah.
My understanding is that they do require public health, even an initial approval. And because of that, according to our regulations, when local public health is approval is required, our regulations for non-residential zoning permits require we have it before we can approve a non-residential zoning permit. So that was my understanding, having looked into it, that NDDH is going to have to give some type of approval. The state sounds like they're going to require even more beyond what initially NDDH is going to require. But because NDDH has to issue at least some type of approval, we have to have that approval per our regulations.
Okay, well, is there a person of contact that you typically deal with at the Department of Health? So I'm talking to the same person.
I don't know.
Maureen
Tina?
Marcoux would be the sanitarian in charge of Woodstock.
Okay, so they've put me in touch with her and someone else. So I think it's a little bit of miscommunication with COVID and not being able to go there in person. So I will do my best to figure out what my next steps need to be regarding the NDH. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners on this application? Yes, Joe.
Just two quick ones. One for Holly. Hi, Holly.
Hi.
Do Montessori schools need transportation, bus transportation, or are the children typically brought to the location by parents or carpools?
Yeah, no, it's just by parent transportation because we're servicing children ages 3 through 5, most likely some 3 to 6. It's considered a daycare. So under a daycare, we wouldn't have to provide any kind of transportation.
Thank you. And then one quick question for Tina.
Sure.
On the letter from the building official from Paul to you, he references Joe Kingston. I'm not sure I should know that name, but Joe Kingston is?
He's the state fire marshal.
State fire marshal. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, but that was it, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Is there anything from other commissioners? If not, then we'll need a motion to table to our January 21st meeting.
So moved.
Okay.
Second, Young.
And Tim, that was you seconding it. So motion made by Joe Adaletta, seconded by Tim Young to table this agenda item to our January 21st, 2021 meeting. Any discussion on the motion on the table? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta.
Aye.
Mark Blackmer.
Aye.
Sid Blodgett. Gail Dickinson.
Aye.
Jeff Gordon. Aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
Fred Rich.
Aye.
And Timothy Young.
Aye.
That so passes. So we'll note that for our agenda at that time. Let me see. The next one is agenda item 8D. This is an application from Supreme Sheds and Barns relative to 290 Route 171, a change of retail business. Tina, I know you reviewed this, and it's anything from your concern. It's a complete application and there's a sign permit bundled in.
Yes, that's correct. There's nothing out of the ordinary. It's similar kind of use, similar kind of retail.
Okay. If the applicant or the applicant's representative is here and wishes to speak, I'm happy to recognize you. You're not required to speak. Let me just double check the
think-
screen here. Okay. Anything from commissioners? Joe?
All right, just a question for the applicant, if there's the intention to have sample sheds on site out on the grounds, or is this location just to be more of a office-like setting to meet with potential clients and customers for the sheds?
Is the applicant or applicant's representative here?
Yep,
And can you please state your name for the record?
Andrew Gadwa.
Thank you for coming to the meeting tonight. If you wanted to answer Commissioner Adeletta's question.
Yeah, we're gonna have a few sheds currently on the premises closer to the left side of the building that we're gonna be renting. We're gonna build probably 3 right off the bat in the next few months, just for as a sample, so I can show my customers how we build our buildings and what, includes in the price.
Any
Can,
other questions, Joe?
yeah, this is for the Scranton shops, right? A change of use? Which,
It's on that property where Rusty Relic used to be. Remember, there's
Back.
buildings up there in the back.
so Rusty Relic wasn't right near the road?
No,
They were towards
59.
the back. You had to go into the lot and up, and they had buildings up in the back.
Okay, where the Flying Carpet used to be and some of those other businesses?
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
Where
Mrs.
Mrs.
Bridges
Bridges
Pantry.
used to be.
That's it,
Yeah.
Mrs. Brick. Okay, so it's not something that's going to be easily visible from Route 169? The additional sheds and buildings they're talking about?
Going to be towards the back of that
Yeah.
property where those buildings are located.
Okay,
That's where I don't know where if Mr. Gatto, if you wanted to answer more to that as far as where you're going to be placing the sheds and stuff for display?
Yeah, they're gonna be closer to the road, so they are visible. On the left side of the building, there's a little, I would say a hill and an open area where I can build some sheds and put them on display, but I'm gonna keep it towards the road, so they're a little bit visible.
okay. Any lighting anticipated for any of this? Additional lighting over what's there now? Because there are regulations.
No lighting.
Okay. So I'll just draw your attention to the fact that there are lighting regulations that would have to be looked at and followed if there was any intention to do that.
All right.
And that lighting also pertains to any signage. We have lighting regulations relative to the signs and sign regulations. So is there anything from other commissioners?
Yes,
Gail.
Joe.
Yeah, it's just
Gail, then Doug.
what happens when there's, say, 3 sheds or 4 sheds? Does each shed need a building permit as well? When they're merchandise?
Hmm.
But
Gina.
they're building the sheds?
Do you know they're just there to be built and display? I don't know the answer to that. Is it all
Well,
part
if
of?
they're structures, I mean, they're gonna have to meet the setbacks. I
Okay.
could ask our attorney, but yeah, if they start building structures, they'll have to get permits for that.
Gail, were you talking about the structures at the site for the demonstration?
The sample sheds that he plans to build at the site to show people how they build the sheds.
Right.
Yeah, they're not permanent structures.
Yeah.
They are movable. That's how we build them, so we can deliver them in the future. There is another shed company actually in Plainfield that does the same thing. And he has about 20 or 30 sheds out in his parking lot. And never heard of any permitting he would need that he ever got for those sheds.
Plainfield may have different regulations than us, so we would need to
Okay.
just check on that to make certain that what is needed, what isn't needed, and setbacks and that type of stuff. So, and that stuff, Tina, you can.
Yeah,
So-
because even if they're temporary buildings, you still have to meet the setbacks.
Right, okay. Was it 25 feet from the road?
Well, for non-residential, it's gonna be 60 feet and then 40 feet for side.
Okay,
And that's all stuff that you can go over with Tina as the zoning enforcement officer, through her and her office about all the details of the regulations in that regard. They're all listed in the regulations. Oh, I think
Jeff?
Doug, did you have a question?
Yes, I think we need to have a limit on the number of sheds that are shown on the property. And I just, if 3 or 4 or 4 is the number, that's great. But I don't, just as he mentioned, in Plainfield, they have 20. All of a sudden, to have 20 sheds on the site would be a much different impact than having 4.
And that certainly, we haven't yet had any motion on this, and if that's something that we wish to do, we would have to have that in the motion as far as limiting the number. I'll ask the applicant, separate from whatever gets done in Plainfield, and again, Plainfield, they have their regulations, Woodstock has its own regulations, and Planning and Zoning Commission. How many of these sheds and structures are you realistically thinking of having out at any one time?
I wouldn't see more than 3 or 4 at the most, just for demonstration purposes. Yeah, it's about right.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? Did I miss anybody's hand? Okay, that would take us.
Fred Rich.
Fred, go ahead, Fred.
I'm a little concerned with, I know the regulations are what they are, but the way you're stating this, it means if they sell one of those sheds, they have to come in and get a permit to build a new one to take its place, right?
I don't know. That's why we were going to have Tina would have to look into what's required or not required. Or we can ask Attorney Roberts if he happens to know offhand how that is handled from a zoning point of view. I don't know, Rich, do you know how that gets handled?
Working on the unmuting here. I think you need to look at your definitions to figure out whether it's really an accessory structure or if it's inventory. If it's not a building that's being occupied by the business, if it's just something that's being constructed, it might be treated differently. So I would just kind of go back and look at your definitions, and if it's something that's being sold or manufactured, it probably should be treated differently than if it's something that's being occupied by the business.
And my understanding, this is for the applicant, these are structures that are being built and then are going to be sold, not for permanent display?
Correct. Yeah, they will be just temporary buildings as inventory.
Okay.
So in that case, they wouldn't have to meet the setbacks then? They could,
Or do you have different setbacks if you're having outdoor display of items for sale or something like that?
right.
We'd
Okay,
have to look at the regulations to see exactly what we have for that or don't have for that. Plus, there's a
Okay,
limit,
we can-
how much towards the road you could actually put these structures before that the hill kind of comes down onto,
Mhm.
the highway anyway. But that, I imagine, Tina, that stuff you could look into as
Yes.
CEO.
Yes, I will, for sure.
Was there anything from other commissioners? Did I miss anybody? We just take a look here. Okay, well, then that will open up to a motion. Does someone wish to make a motion? Doug?
I'll make a motion to approve the application for the Village at Scranton Shops, the Supreme Sheds and Barns with a limit of 4 display sheds.
I'll second that.
Let me just write this down. And who was that? Was that you, Joe?
Yes, it was.
So let me just make certain I got the motion correct. Motion by Doug Porter, seconded by Joe Adaletta, to approve the application as presented, but to limit no more than 4 display sheds. Is that correct, Doug? Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, yes, go ahead. Yes, Jeff.
Jeff Mark, I don't think that limiting the applicant to 4 sheds is fair. He builds 4 and sells 2, but can't deliver 2 because the health department is holding up a permit, so it limits him from furthering his business. I don't think 4 is fair.
Can we ask the applicant, Jeff, if the construction is only on the site at the Rusty Relic, or does the applicant often build sheds on a customer's location from a
I'll
building?
open it up to the applicant. I know when you had mentioned before about you thought you were going to have no more than 3 or 4 at a time of these structures on display, but if you wanted to answer Commissioner Adelette's question about where the construction is, or if you're constructing some of them on site versus ones that you're constructing at the business location, I'll defer that to your answering.
Okay, well, typically what we're planning on doing is only building on the our new property that we're going to be renting. And we're trying to have that as a location where we can just deliver sheds instead of doing on-site work. I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose of renting a new property. So we can get away from the on-site and then change to delivery purposes. So.
Okay.
Your question, Joe?
It does, and it kind of gives weight to Jeffrey Marcotte's concern. I thought these were just kind of models to display different types of sheds, but most of the work would be done at the customer's location.
Yeah, well, there'll be.
Wait, just one person at a time. I'll recognize you, Mr. Gadwa, if you want to go ahead and answer that.
Okay, speak now?
Yeah,
Okay.
please, go ahead.
So I would say for the next 4 to 6 months are going to be on display, but we're going to move away from on-site work onto delivery once we, can set up delivery, and it's probably going to be within the next probably 6 months away. So they will be displayed for the next 6 months. We're going to be doing on-site work. But
just an aside comment about the angle of the driveway coming in. It sounds like if the sheds will be up near the Rusty Relic, they'll have to be on a trailer, tractor trailer to come in and out. Just want to make sure you're comfortable with the slope of that driveway coming down onto 169 with a large vehicle.
If you want to go ahead and answer that, I'm assuming you looked into that.
yeah, we probably won't be delivering any sheds wider than 10 feet out of that property. So anything bigger than that, we'll do on-site work as well.
Okay, all right.
And I know I asked this before, but I'll just ask it again since we're discussing about the motion we have, which includes limiting to no more than 4 of these display sheds. How many of these are you, when you're building and then you're delivering, how many of these are you anticipating you're going to be having, up at any one time in order to help deal with the business? There's a limited amount of space up there anyway.
Right. I mean, I would like to have the number up to at least 8 or 10. Because, I mean, I don't want to limit, like you said, if I get a bunch of orders and I can't deliver 2, then I'm not going to be able to make the income that I projected.
Okay. I saw somebody else's hand up. Who did I miss?
I think
that
it was
Mark?
mine, Jeff, but I had the same question, was how many actual sheds on site, not just display, but also under construction.
I don't know what, Doug, you made the motion and Joe, you seconded it, that has limiting no more than 4 display sheds. Is that, you want to stay with that motion? Did you want to change the number based upon our discussion, or however you wish to do it?
Well, Jeff, without seeing a site plan of where this is going to be located on the site, I think you're asking for potential issues to allow 8 to 10 sheds on that site. That is a visible site from the road, and I think it would be important to know where they're going to be on that site. It's a big site. And we haven't been presented any site plan to show how this is going to work. It's much different than saying they're going to just be in an existing building. They're going to have somewhat of a movable display area. So that's my concern, and the applicant had said 4, so I just used that. I have no difficulty in increasing it. I think once you start getting to 8 to 10, I think you really need a site plan to show how it's going to lay out on that site.
I'll open up to what other commissioners think relative to Doug Porter's comments about if we were to increase the number. Do we want to see a site plan? How do we want to go? Fred, you had something?
Yeah, a question for the applicant. You rent the land all the way to Young's, or is it a smaller piece?
Do you want to go ahead and answer that if you're able to?
Yeah, we rent the left side of the building.
Everything to the next property line?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sid. And then
Sid
I'll-
Blodgett. Looking at the application under item 2, which asks for the description of the business, which is office space and selling sheds. To me, that gives the impression of a sales office. I'm kind of getting an understanding that now it's more manufacturing of these outside constantly, or that's the primary part of his business, to manufacture these and ship them out. So I think the application's evolving a little bit from what was submitted. And I would agree with Doug. I'd like to see a site plan, or whoever suggested that.
Delia, you had a question? I'll recognize you.
I have a suggestion. What if you allowed for 4 sheds to be in a display location, and then you might allow additional sheds to be on site because they're waiting to be delivered or whatever, behind the building or behind a fence or something? And then there would still only be 4 visible from the road, but when a customer goes to the building, they would be allowed to walk around and look at all the sheds. But it would allow them to be able to make more sheds because it may take time to schedule when sheds are delivered or paid for, or the materials that it takes to make sheds. Maybe all of that works in such a way that there could be more than one shed in the process of being constructed and delivered and permitted and all that other stuff. Some of the towns these sheds go to might require permits, or if they're larger than the 10-foot wide shed, maybe it would require a permit in Woodstock. So you could allow for 4 sheds to be visible, and then the other sheds could be somewhere that's not visible from the road.
Thank you,
And
Delia.
it would still be limited. I'm not saying you allow them to have endless amounts of sheds.
Thank you. But I guess that then gets back to what other commissioners feel about what's been raised by Doug about seeing a site plan, so one would know exactly where things would be located on the property. Joe?
Yeah, I think certainly the site plan is a good idea, but I'm also concerned with the point Sid Blodgett raised about kind of morphing from what looked like a sales office and display sheds to a manufacturing site for the sheds, which I would just ask Tina or Delia if there's a different application that's more appropriate to that than just a change of business. So since it's not quite just a retail business anymore, like the Rusty Relic. It's more of an assembly or manufacturing.
I'll ask Tina as the CEO. Tina?
Well, if you're changing from retail to manufacturing, there's a special permit on that property. Wouldn't you have to modify that special permit?
I'll ask, I guess that would be, if I don't want to put you on the spot, Attorney Roberts, but as far as how we would handle that, if one is going to be having a business there that's manufacturing, whereas the business before was selling, would that have to rise to a special permit? There's a special permit already on that entirety of the property, Tina?
Yes.
I thought it was just non-residential zoning we had done before.
Well, they
No,
were
we
allowed to
But
build a house.
Delia, no, just, I'll recognize you. I just want to ask Tina.
Yes, we had that come up a few years back where that's a mixed use. In that upper area, they're allowed to have a single family residential use there.
Okay. Did you have something, Delia, that you
That's
wanted
what I
to?
was gonna mention.
Okay, I just needed to make certain I had one person speaking at a time, so it was clear. So I guess if there's a special, I'm trying to figure out our process then is, Attorney Roberts, are we then having to deal with a special permit if that part of the parcel has a special permit attached to it? Or are we still able to say non-residential if it's a change of business use, even if they're going to be manufacturing the sheds?
I think it would be a change in the use.
Mhm.
Okay. Which is what this application is, correct? A non-residential zoning permit because of change of use?
It's change of business normally when it falls under that.
Well, can I speak?
Just one quick question. I just want to, so would we be fine with this type of application then? Is that, as opposed to having to go to a whole special permit? We're just trying to see if this permit is, we're fine to continue with this type of permit as opposed to a special permit, which is more involved. It sounds like from what you're saying, Tina, the non-residential, because it's a change of use, the non-residential zoning permit would cover us.
Well, I think when the use is changed, yeah, I think we have to modify the special permit that's in place normally.
Okay. Mr. Gadwa, if there's something you wish to speak to, please go ahead.
Yes, currently we're only going to be using it as a display unit. My future plans down the road would be for manufacturing and basically just delivering the sheds from the property we're renting. But for now, we're just going to use it as a display until we get our specialized trailer. So, which would be far down the road. So we're just going to use it as a display unit now.
So
we're not
per your-
manufacturing.
So I just understand it, per the application, then you're not looking at this point, if this application were to be approved, to start building sheds on that premise. It's more, you're displaying the sheds there and then you're going to be moving them to whatever properties of the people who buy them. And at some later point, you would seek to then have to get whatever permit to start manufacturing on the site. Is that correct?
I didn't understand the question.
I guess the question is now, if you're not going to be manufacturing them on the site right now, you said.
Right, they're just going to be for display currently. And then sometime down the road, we're going to do manufacturing. But today, as of now, we're not going to be doing any manufacturing. We're just using them as display units for our on-site work.
Okay, because that would get into then how we handle this permit then. Mark Blackmer, you had a question?
Yes, for the applicant. That was my question. So when you are doing manufacturing, are you manufacturing at that location? Or are you manufacturing at another location, trailering them in to be delivered out?
We would be building the sheds on the rented property for display. But that's for our on-site work so we can get customers to build sheds at their property.
So this permit that you're asking for would include not just displaying the sheds, but building the sheds on that site and then displaying them or waiting for them to be sold. So you would then transport them off property to wherever they need to go.
No, they won't be delivered. They're just for display purposes only. So there, it's not manufacturing. What I'm trying to do is just put a few sheds out in the area we're renting, and for the fact that we're going to be using those sales to build sheds on their customers' location so they can, for business purposes.
Okay, I'm just a little confused because earlier you had mentioned that you were trying to get away from building sheds at customer sites and about potentially
Right.
building them on this location. And I just want to
So
make
that
sure
would be
that
the
we're
future.
clear on the record. Yeah, you're going to be actually building these sheds on site, and as you sell them, you'll build more on this location, or it's purely just for display and you're manufacturing them elsewhere?
Correct. Yeah, in the future, we plan on doing deliveries, which was what I was trying to get at. But currently, we're just using them as display units to build offsite.
Okay, so then this application would be just for displaying them, not for manufacturing on site.
Correct.
So,
If you're, what are you going to be delivering if you're not manufacturing them there? You're gonna have sheds on display and you, in the future, want to deliver some. But I'm not sure how the delivery comes into play if you're not manufacturing them there.
so
I build them on site at the location's property. What I plan on doing is just showing the sheds to customers so they can get a feel of what they're purchasing. Because I have no current models to show them. All I have is pictures, in which I do lose a lot of sales because people can't check out and see what they're buying. So that's my plan at that location, just to build some models so they get a feel of what they're going to be buying.
So then it
Okay,
sounds
now you-
like then, to make certain we're all clear and on the same page, you're just going to have display sheds and you're not going to otherwise be doing manufacturing on that site. If at some later point you decide you want to, that would have to then look into something further for a permit. But you're not looking at manufacturing at the site basically on an ongoing basis right now. It's purely just, you want to have some sheds up there for display purposes, so to help your sales and dealing with your customers. Is that a correct assessment of the
Yeah.
application?
Yep.
Okay. Was there anybody else that I missed?
I would assume that the building on site would be just a sales office.
If you want to answer that, the building you're going to be using, that's basically your sales office that you're looking to have in town?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was Joe, and then I think was that you, Gail, you had your hand. So Joe and Gail, I know Doug, and I know, was it you, Fred, as well, had something?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so then Joe?
Yeah, okay, so just trying to follow all the discussion, and if the motion is to accept the application as presented with the limit of 4 sheds on display, and to be clear, there's no manufacturing or building of these sheds to be done on the rented property under this particular permit. If the applicant wants to do that in the future, that's fine, but it would require a modification to the special permit. Just want to make my understanding clear on this, and hopefully for the applicant to understand what the process would be in the future.
Okay. Gail and then Doug?
Joe basically covered what I was gonna say. We need to make it really clear that this is a retail permit, and he can have display sheds. He said he wanted 8 to 10 display sheds, which isn't clear to me. But that for any manufacturing other than the building of sheds for display will require modification of a special permit.
Doug?
Well, I want to help get this approved. I'm not trying to put obstacles in the way. I'm just worried that if it grows into a bigger project, I think we need to have the site plan. But I have, whether it's 4 or 6 or whatever, I have no difficulty with having the display sheds, and I have no difficulty with them being built on the site, because I don't think he's going to haul them in from somewhere else. Part of his thing is that he builds sheds on site So I'm sure he'd like to build his display sheds right on the site where his office is going to be. So I would make it clear that he would have the ability to build the 4 or 6, whatever number we agree, on site, and then they would be used as the display models.
And to follow that, Doug, anything further manufacturing, that would have to get into a different type of permit if you're going to be doing a manufacturing on a rolling basis.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I'm against it. I just think we need more information if we're going to go that route. And I think we should give him an opportunity to get established and get his business going. If he thinks it's going to work, he can come in with an amendment to the application or an amendment to the special permit if he thinks it's working for him. But at least we get him started and he can show what he can do in the area. It'd be great to have a shed place that's local instead of sending people towards Hartford or Plainfield to get a shed.
Fred, you had something?
Yeah, come back. The problem I see with having a layout of where he's gonna put the sheds is these sheds are movable. It's not a permanent structure. So is Tina or somebody gonna go up there and measure every day to make sure the sheds are in the right place? I mean, they're movable sheds. They're not fastened to the ground. They can be any place on the lot. It just, I don't know. I think you're
Doug?
making a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, and I disagree a little bit, Fred. It's a bigger site. And I just think someone just needs to show, and he can show it to Tina, is where does he expect to have these? And then a general area, and that's where they are. I don't think you want to have sheds spread across the entire parcel.
No, I agree with you that way, Doug. It's just, if we tell him he can only have 4 within sight of the road, then if he has 6 in back that you can't see from the road, what difference does it make?
Well, right now, the motion on the table includes a limit of no more than 4 display sheds. I don't know I know Doug, you made the motion and Joe, you seconded it. If you want to keep with that motion, did you want to change it at all to increase the number or change the number? How do you wish to proceed?
Well, if I can just kind of clarify a comment, if the display sheds are intended to be constructed on the rented land, and we talk about 6 or 8 displays, then we're talking about manufacturing 6 or 8 display sheds, and then presumably, well, look, that's why I need the applicant to clarify. Is the intention to sell the display sheds or just to display them as models for customers to get ideas about what they want built at their home? And you wouldn't necessarily be moving the display sheds from the rented land to a customer's home.
If you want, Mr. Gadua, if you want to go ahead and answer that, if you're able to.
Yeah, they're just for display, just so they can get ideas of what they would like in their home. There's a lot of different sheds that we offer. So, I mean, I would like the number to be raised more than 4 because there's so many different styles we can build and we can display and show the customers. Yeah, so basically they're just going to be seen to get ideas so I can build them at their property.
Well, then to help Jeff with that answer, I'm comfortable if Doug is to go to a higher number of essentially fixed display sheds on the rented land, not with the intention of moving those out and replacing them on the rented land by building more on the rented land, but building up to about 6, or Doug's comfortable up to 8, build them one there on the rented land and leave them there for display. That sounds appropriate. I'm trying to at least let this applicant, as Doug said, get going with his business, but trying to keep it clear as to what we as residents and what the commission is approving for something a year or 2 from now.
So what number then would you, right now, the motion has no more than 4 display sheds. What number would you increase? I know, Mr. Gadua, you had mentioned about looking at 8 to 10. to have on
Yes.
display?
Yeah, it is a quite big property. Even if there was, let's say, 10, I think there would be enough room to get in there, get around in there with a truck or with a, let's say, I don't know, any type of vehicle. So there wouldn't be, what I'm trying to get at is it wouldn't create any obstacles for emergency services to get back there. I mean, it's a quite big property. So if you put even 10 sheds there, I don't see that would even take up much space at all.
So I'll defer then. I know, again, Doug, you made the motion and Joe, you seconded it as far as what number you would wish to go with your motion.
Jeff, I'm not comfortable with allowing up to 10 sheds being there without a site plan. Certainly, I think 4 might be a little bit low, but, and the applicant might be able to help us. Sheds can go, from my understanding, you can go all the way up to 10 foot wide and 20 to 30 feet long, and still be able to go down the road. So now you're looking, if you have 10, you have a 3,000 square feet of construction on that site. We haven't seen a site plan. We haven't seen how that's going to be laid out. I think that's a lot to ask us based on a commercial zoning, a non-residential zoning permit. But I'm hoping there's some middle ground.
The options would be to request we see a site plan, so one would know exactly where things would be relative to the property in order for the commission then to decide about a non-residential zoning permit. That would, if we wanted to get a site plan from a procedural point of view, we would have to table this to our January 21st meeting and then request a site plan and then take up our discussion. Otherwise, then if one wishes to, at this point, not have a site plan, we would have to decide what we wish to do relative to the motion to limit a certain number of these display sheds. And then if the applicant wants to have more display sheds, then has to come back with a new application to ask to be able to do that. So, which would be another process with, with our non-residential permit. So I guess the issue would be how we feel as a commission we wish to proceed procedurally. Mark, and then Joe. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I agree with Fred on, to have a site plan and, he may want to move sheds around a little bit. If possibly, but again, agreeing with Doug on it can take up a lot of space. If we were to have a limit as to how many square foot of shed, whether if he wants big sheds, it'd be a few lesser number, but has so many square feet of shed or buildings on display, if that would work somehow.
Joe, you had something?
Yeah, I was only going to suggest for the applicant, I think kind of a layout of what the property looks like now, either from a plot plan or something that's easily accessible, not looking for any architectural drawings or surveyor drawings, but just an outline of the property and where some of the sheds could be put. I don't have a good idea of the size of that property, so I'm a little concerned about going up to 10 structures without getting some sense of what that might look like.
We do have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tina, don't we already have a map of that property anyway? Because
Yes.
we had granted the special permit for
Correct.
the mixed use. So
Mhm.
there is already a map that had been submitted, a survey map, when we granted that special permit.
Yes.
Certainly that's something the applicant could use and see about, a site plan or whatever to help further discussion with the commission, as opposed to having to do a whole new survey. There's already an existing map that was accepted for that. Gail, you had something, and then Doug, did you have your hand up, Gail?
Yeah, it seems like a reasonable compromise would be to give him a permit to begin with, so we can get started like right away before our January 21st meeting for 4 display sheds, with the caveat that if he wants to do more than 4 display sheds, he come back with a site plan. It doesn't have to be an A2 survey or anything, but just a sketch so we know where the sheds are going to go. And then we can do a modification of the non-residential permit. If he plans to start manufacturing sheds on site, then he would need to come in for modification of the special permit, not a modification of the change of business permit.
Was it you, Doug, next?
Yeah, I'm not asking, trying to drive up the cost of this application. I think if we do have an existing site plan, and that if that can be updated to show where this is going to be located on the site, that would be great. But I think Gail's recommendation to start with 4 or 6, depending if that works with the applicant, and if he wants to do more, then to come back with a site plan and show how it's going to lay out on the site. At least that gets him started and gives him an opportunity to refine it as he goes forward.
So if we were to go up in the number, what number then are you suggesting, Doug, as opposed, because you made the motion? Right now it has no more than 4. Are you suggesting no more than 6 or no more than 8? Or what number would we be going with for purposes of the motion?
Well, I have no trouble with 6. I also had no problem with limiting the overall square footage that's shown too, if that gives him more flexibility.
Okay. So what do we wish to do as far as the motion then? Right now, it's no more than 4. I'm hearing we would want to go up. What then do you wish to do? It'd have to fall upon you, Doug, and you, Joe, because you made the motion and seconded it respectively, as far as for me to say to change the motion.
Okay, then I'll change the motion to be up to 6 sheds, not to exceed 1,200 square feet of space.
How much was that? 1,000
1,200 feet.
square feet of space total. Okay. Let me just ask the applicant, since we're trying to sort through various issues relative to this and see what we can do for you. If we were to start out with approving no more, up to 6 display sheds, provided the total square footage doesn't exceed 1,200. And then with an understanding that if you would like to have more display sheds on the property, present to us, then it would be a modification of the non-residential permit using the already existing map that was already done for that property, to then discuss further with us about a site plan, understanding that if at some later point it wanted to turn into a true manufacturing facility, that would have to get into modifying the special permit. But for right now, we're talking about the non-residential zoning permit, the business permit. Is that something that you would see as workable in order for us to try to see about moving things forward for you?
Yeah, that works with me. Sounds good. 6 sheds, looks like a great starting point. But so, yeah, agrees. Fine with me.
Okay, well, thank you. And then certainly we're available to take things up at a later time, depending upon how things go with regards to more display sheds, that type of stuff. So, okay. Was there any other commissioner who had anything else that I missed, trying to keep track of everything? So right now, the motion is to approve the application as presented for a non-residential zoning permit, but to limit to no more than 6 display sheds, not to exceed a total square footage of 1,200. Did I get that right, Doug?
Yes, that'll be fine on my motion. Does Joe agree?
You're okay, Joe?
I'm okay with that.
So that would be the current motion that we'll note that we have. Do we have anything further on this? If not, I'll go through the roll. Okay. Joe Adaletta.
Aye.
Mark Blackmer.
Aye.
Sid Blodgett.
Aye.
Gail Dickinson.
Aye.
Jeff Gordon. Aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
Doug Porter.
Aye.
Fred Rich. Fred? Oh, let me go on to Tim Young.
Aye.
And let me just check if Fred, how do you vote? You have to unmute yourself. Okay. Well, we'll have to list that then as can't record a vote due to technical difficulties. Okay, the motion passes. And then Tina, you'll do whatever magic you do with regards to the permitting process after this.
Yes,
So,
I will. Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for coming to the Woodstock business community. Look forward to having you here.
Thank you.
That takes us to, where's my agenda here? Agenda item 8E. Doug, is this one that you recused?
Yes, I have to recuse myself.
So we'll note that for the record. This one is 168 Route 171. Change of business from a medical office to a veterinary clinic. I believe one of the commissioners knows this office building very well.
Indeed, I do.
How many years did you work there, Gail?
Over 20.
Tina, CEO, I know you reviewed this. I know we have NDDH approval on this. And this
Yes.
does include a sign. Anything from
Yes.
your perspective? Otherwise, you're okay from a CEO point of view?
Yes, everything looked fine.
Okay. And is the applicant or the applicant's representative here who wishes to speak? You're not required to. We're happy to have you here. And if you wish to say something, please let me know. I know the applicant and the applicant's representative are here, so just let me know if you wish to speak. You can just state your name for the record, please. Thank you for being here tonight.
Gwen Goma.
Anything you wish to say relative to the permit? You're not required to.
I just hope to be a good member in the community, and I think it'll be a really good use of a really wonderful building, and I'm very excited to hopefully start working on things and move things forward.
I'll open up to the commission. Any questions from commissioners? Joe?
Yes, thank you. Just maybe a question or two for Tina. There were an inspection and case management report from the fire marshal with some pending activities. Do we know if those are being addressed or will be addressed?
Yes, once the zoning approval goes through, then they will work with the building official and the fire marshal to finish that review.
Okay.
So I don't technically give, my sign off until they get all of that in order with the building official and the fire marshal.
Okay. And then for the applicant, if I may ask, are there any other state agencies that have to weigh in for a veterinary clinic for their approvals or inspections of the site for organic waste or special drugs or chemicals that are on site?
If you want to answer that, if you know.
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Not to the best of your knowledge, is that what you said? Okay. All right.
Anything else from commissioners? Hearing nothing else from commissioners, then a motion?
I move
I move we approve.
Second by Fred Rich.
So motion by Dickinson, Gail Dickinson, seconded by Fred Rich to approve the application as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Other than I'll just state what we usually state, one of us does, which is just be aware of our lighting and sign regulations and lighting of sign regulations. I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta.
Aye.
Mark Blackmer.
Aye.
Sid Blodgett.
Aye.
Gail Dickinson.
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
Fred Rich.
Aye.
And Tim Young.
Aye.
That so passes. Congratulations. And Tina, again, you do whatever magic you do. to
Yes.
move it forward now that we've given the approval.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to Woodstock.
Thank you very much. I've been here a long time, but I'm looking forward to being here with the business community.
Yes, well, thank you for doing that, and it's a nice building and property there, so it's a good location.
Thank you.
That takes us then to agenda item 9A, the only new business item. This is 646-1230. This is about Herondine Landing, map 5173, block 01, lot 7A and 8A. A lot line adjustment. This is not a subdivision application. This is really more of really an administrative type of application. Thus, there's not a lot that is needed for the permit per our regulations. Tina, you reviewed this, or this was Delia that reviewed it?
Delia was provided the information.
Okay, so from your perspective, Delia, anything? Otherwise, you're okay with regards to the application that was presented?
I'm okay with it. I reviewed everything that I had access to. The minutes, as I showed in the packet, they mentioned conditions, but they only include the condition that driveways over, I think 15% have to be paved. This driveway is not that steep, so it would not be required to be paved. And they're reducing the number of houses, so it can't possibly be as much impact as 2 houses. And they would need to get a permit for their solar panels that they wanted to put in. So I'm fine with it.
Okay, well, thank you for reviewing it. And we do have the meeting minutes from prior. I did ask for them to be put in, so thank you, Tina, for getting them in there, because that goes all the way back, actually close to 19 years. So I'll open it up to the applicant or the applicant's representative. If you're here, we're happy to hear from you. You're not required to. If you are present, please let me know.
Yes, good evening, Greg Glaude from Killingly Engineering Associates.
Thank you for being here. I know I did agree to this. We did add after the deadline, so we were able to get everything. So thank you for submitting everything.
Yes, and thank you for accepting it. This is pretty much a simple application. It deals with 2 of the lots on Herondine Landing subdivision, which were subdivided and approved back in 2002. What we're doing is we're simply taking lot 7 and lot 8 of those of that, and we're merging them into one undivided lot. Presently, lot 7 is constructing his house and his septic system. He's about 85% complete on that. That has 3.69 acres. Lot 8 is where he's going to construct the solar panels. That has 3.19 acres. So after the merger, the total area would be 6.881 acres. And it's true there'd be less impact. We're going from 2 house lots down to 1 house lot. There's no real changing of a line. We're just really eliminating the line between those 2 lots. It is as simple as that.
Thank you. I'll open up to commissioners. Any questions on this application, Joe? We just have to unmute yourself, Joe.
Yes, it's a pretty simple question, and I agree it's a straightforward lot line change, but on the most recent drawing from Killingly Engineering Associates, there's just a dotted line up near lot number 7 that says on original submission line. That seems to break apart part of lot 7. 7A.
Yep, I can address that. Yeah, that triangular portion that you see at the top end of lot 7, that's the original subdivision line. There was a previous lot line adjustment on this property on lot 7 done back in 2007. It was not by my office or by the current owner. It was by the previous owners. There was a deed recorded and a map recorded on that. So that's what that is. I was just merely showing that was something that happened in the past.
Okay, and that was leading to my question, to just make sure the ownership of that triangular piece is pretty clear in records. So there's
Yeah.
no future problem. Okay,
Yep, yes, there is. And I did provide a parcel history on this. So the current deed does reflect the complete lot 7, including that triangle.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, otherwise I'll entertain a motion.
Move to accept the request to perform the lot line adjustment on this subdivision. As
A
presented.
second.
So motion by Joe Adaletta and seconded by Tim Young to approve the application as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
and Timothy Young.
Aye.
That so passes. Congratulations. And again, Tina, you'll work your usual magic in whatever needs to be done now that we've approved it.
Yes, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next is old business agenda item 10. This is 6451029 Center Road LLC, a 3-lot subdivision. First, we had tabled this, so I just need a motion to untable.
So moved. Dickinson.
Second,
there a
Doug
second?
Porter.
So a motion by Gail Dickinson, second by Doug Porter, untable this item. I'll quickly go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
and Timothy Young.
Aye.
We did receive a request from the applicant to request a 35-day extension. Right now, where we stand with the time we have on this, per state statute, I believe we have 65 base days to render a decision because this has not required a public hearing. So as of today, we've used up 63 of those days. So in order to extend this out, and they've asked for us to table this beyond tonight, so as to, it looks like they're in discussion with an abutter about potentially a lot line adjustment or some type of boundary adjustment. So that would then take us to the January 21st meeting. So we would need to accept the request for the 35-day extension, which clearly would cover us with 2 days to spare until January 21st. And then we can even do it as the same motion when we accept the 35-day extension request to table this to the January 21st meeting, if that makes sense.
I'll make that motion, Jeff.
And is there a second?
Second, Blackmer.
So motion by Doug Porter, seconded by Mark Blackmer to accept the 35-day extension request from the applicant and to table this to the January 21st meeting. Any discussion on the motion on the table? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
and Timothy Young.
Aye.
That so passes. So we'll note that this will be on for January 21st and that whatever then additional info we're going to be getting from the applicant or from Mr. Parent, then we'll go accordingly with that. Okay. And Tina, you'll do your usual notifications to them. Thank you. That takes us to agenda item 11. We have CEO reports, office permits enforcement. Tina, this is the most exciting part of the meeting because we get to hear what wonderful things are going on. If there's anything you wanted to tell us, otherwise we do have your reports.
Yes, the reports were enclosed in the packet. Hopefully through January, the end of December, things will quiet down a little bit. We could start working on the budget and other things. We've had a lot going on over the last 6 months. So,
I just have two quick questions. One is just to follow up on the Rusty Relic special permit. We
Yes.
did want to note if they had contacted the state archaeologist's office, and did you want to update us on the standing of that?
yes, actually, I did get a call from them, and basically a septic system had gone in a few years back.
Did we lose you? I think we lost Tina. Okay.
She's just surprised.
She is. Well, I know she informed me because I did ask her about this a few weeks ago, just to follow up on Joe's question from the last meeting about if the state archaeologist was contacted. And she told me on December 1st, she did get a call back from Dr. Sportman, the state of Connecticut archaeologist, who did have a conversation with one of the business owners. They discussed the parking area, but they'd already started to do the grading and the land disturbance. So and there had already previously been a new septic system put in a few years ago. So from what Tina told me, the state archaeologist said that there really isn't anything that the state archaeology department can do now, given there was already land disturbance when the new septic went in before, and there was already land disturbance started by the new business owners. So they really can't do anything to make any determination at this point in time. So there really was nothing further than from the
Sorry,
state.
I keep getting knocked off of the internet. I
Well, that's no
apologize.
problem. I went ahead and spoke to what you had told me relative to what you heard from the state archaeology office. So,
Thank you.
well, that was followed through with that. I know, Joe, you had asked that question at the last meeting, if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you for following up on that.
And then the other thing I have, it's really just more of a general statement. I know, Tina, you know this well, but it's just more of a general statement, is that we just want to remind applicants that when they get their permits approved, there are still post-decision process and requirements that need to be done before they can do certain things. So we just want to make certain that, I know Delia sends letters when she's involved. Tina, you send letters, but I just want to state it so that way applicants know that there are things they need to follow before they can just start immediately going out and doing certain things. So, but some of that stuff has already been handled by your office, Tina. So I just wanted to state it for the record that you're aware of it and you have looked into some of that.
I had a question about the driveway that came out onto 169.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I was under the understanding that was going to be eliminated.
It's
Was that
going to be blocked off. It wasn't the condition to have trees planted and it be blocked off.
right? And it's actually been redone so that it's resurfaced and to the.
I did not. I saw it blocked off.
As you stand on 169 looking at the front porch that they just redid, there is a driveway to the left of the house.
Right.
That was the one, I guess I considered the one out on the 169. When they resurfaced the parking lot, it looked like that got resurfaced as well. I thought that was going to get blocked off. It does not look like that's happened.
They have a building trailer on that. So I'm wondering if they resurface it to be able to bring in crews. When I drove by there several days ago, there was a contractor trailer sitting there blocking the driveway. Maybe that's why.
I could see having the driveway for maybe a special reason to get in on that side, but I thought that was one of the provisions of the permit, was that was to be blocked off. therefore, at least a gate or something to that effect ought to be put there, because the way it looks now, anybody that doesn't understand the exit and entrance says, hey, I can get back to 169 a lot quicker if I just take this access road. You know, we're going to have happening what shouldn't have happened. You know, cars exiting onto 169. That's not going to be a good thing. You know, it's just a very dangerous.
Tina?
My understanding, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off. They are putting a gate up.
Okay.
That was what they told me.
And eventually they're going to be having to put those signs up and the plantings or whatever, which
Yes.
I don't think they're doing now, but
Right.
so it sounds like they're addressing it, Tina, from what you said.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The other question I have, Tina, is, and I think this was in the meeting packet, was that evidently the state did grant a liquor license to Treehouse Brewery or Brewing Company. You've prior spoken with them. I know we've had 2 preliminary discussions with Treehouse. I don't know what their plans are with their liquor license, but anything that they're looking to do beyond that may require local permitting, and reading the state memorandum, the state does mention that they told Treehouse that local permits that might be required, they have to follow anyway. I don't know if you know anything further beyond, other than they got their liquor license, and are they looking to have anything further discussion with the commission or with your office about what they're planning to do with it? Or do you know?
I have not had any recent communication with them. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My last communication with one of the managers, Kim, is that they do intend on coming to the commission in the future for a special permit. I think COVID kind of held things up, but it would be a very limited sort of use.
Oh, I think we lost Tina again. Well, I know Tina's aware of it. Oh, you're back? Ah, okay. So we'll just have to remind them that even though they got their liquor license, they can't just start doing things with it that require other permits. And that follows the state memorandum that when they got their liquor license. So
right.
As long as they are mindful of that, then one goes accordingly and needs
They
to.
have been told, yes.
Okay. So does anyone have, any other commissioners have any questions about zoning and stuff? Joe?
Yeah, just a quick question for Tina on her listing, which looks pretty active for October and November. Just 2 home occupations for Sea Cow Aquatics and a gift shop. Just want to make sure home occupations are understood about limitations on requirements for a home occupation, number of parking spots, number of customers, things like that.
Yes, sir. I am very careful on how things are explained, and I make sure that they do understand the limitations, and that I will be watching carefully if things do expand to the point where they may have to come back to the commission. I'm very clear with people.
Thank you. Very good.
And it is nice to see those 2 home occupations, being dealing with tropical fish in a big fish tank for decades. It's nice to actually have a local fish place in
What was that?
town. So
They're selling more than
Sure.
food though, right? They're selling fish as well.
I didn't have anything in
No.
mind. Nope.
no, the fish, there's the fish store, and then there's a home occupation for the gift shop. There's 2 of them. So that came to town. So it's nice to have to see some further people doing further things. But I know, Tina, you watch over that stuff anyway, as far as things start getting beyond the scope. So
All righty.
who is that in the background?
I don't know.
Okay. Just want to make, I don't know who. Okay. I don't know who's on the phone. But whoever, if we can just remind people to mute themselves, that way we won't pick up any of the background stuff. Was there anything else relative to zoning reports then from commissioners? Okay, well, certainly you've been busy, Tina. So, any citizens' comments not on anything relative to an agenda item that we've already discussed? Okay, that takes us to budget review and bills. We have our budget review to show you where we stand so far this fiscal year. This is also the time when we would need to discuss and decide our next fiscal year budget, and there's been another change proposed. For this current fiscal year, it was proposed that we put in Tina's contractual service line item. But now what the proposal is, and I put this in my memo that should be in the meeting packets, is having talked with Karen Fitzpatrick with regards to, from the treasurer's point of view, the town is recommending that in the budget, not our budget, but in the town budget, which would be the non-educational side of the budget, to have a land use department. This is certainly, in my opinion, good, because one of the things I and others have been advocating for is making certain we have enough staffing and resources for a land use department. A land use department certainly includes planning and zoning. We're a big part of that. It also includes inland wetlands, and I think ZBA would fall into that, wouldn't it, Tina?
Yes.
So, and the reason for that is that they're looking now to take out of each budget, whatever gets listed for contractual services and stuff, put it all into one land use budget. So the current that we have here for 37,440 in our current budget for contractual services will be taken out. That will be put into a land use department budget. So that would change our proposed budget in that regard. And then my understanding is, Tina, that we still have what Cindy has been doing with regards to the land use clerk and being of help, but also looking to see moving forward what additional help might be able to be done for you as CEO, given how busy things have been in general, dealing with planning and zoning, inland wetlands, and then from time to time, ZBA, but especially planning and zoning inland wetlands has quite a bit of work. So all that will fall under the land use department now. Is that that's what's being thought of and going to be proposed? Am I correct, Tina?
Yes, and there will be some training on the new land use administrator, which is Cindy, our minute taker. She's been doing a great job and she's going to be really learning. We'll be working together and she'll have a few more extra hours in the new budget. We're trying to work that out.
And this is good because this is a continuation of a move forward, knowing that some years ago when things changed in the land use department and concerns that the commission raised, but I know things have been moving forward. So I appreciate the work that's been going into this by the treasurer, the first selectman, Jay Swan. So this to me is a move forward and a plus. And Cindy's been a big help trying to help get things done so it doesn't all fall on your shoulders, Tina, given everything.
Big time. And Delia too. I'm very, very blessed. Delia is fantastic.
We do have Delia's continued services. So
yes.
That's continuing as well with contract with NECOG. So we do have our proposed budget. So the only change that's going to be in our proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year would be that we would have $0 for contractual services because we no longer need to have that in there. So what that does is that brings us down to a proposed budget of 2,100, which basically keeps all the other line items that we had the same. Those don't change. Staff time, notices, well, staff time is 0. Notices, printing, conferences, periodicals. We need no additional money for the review of POCD because we don't need to do that now. And the legal fees, we continue to have our commission and the CEO legal line item all rolled into one. And however they're going to work that out with the land use budget, they work out. But that's why we continue to list $0 as legal fees because it was easier some years ago to have it combined with the CEO legal fee line item. So really nothing changes with our proposed budget other than 0 for contractual services. And that's where we would stand with a potential proposal that we would then have to give to the selectmen and the Board of Finance. I'll open it up to the commission as far as what you think about it. Technically, we'll have to make an approval for a proposed budget as we normally do, and then I send it off to the powers that be at Town Hall, but I'll open up to any questions or comments the rest of you may have about where we stand with a proposal?
It looks like a good approach, Jeff. Hopefully this works out well for our ZEO and for Delia so that we continue to get the kind of good service that we've been getting.
Jeff, I'll make a motion to approve the budget as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Fred Rich, I'll second it.
All right, so motion by Doug Porter, seconded by Fred Rich to approve the commission's proposed fiscal year 21-22 budget as presented. Any discussion?
The only comment I would have, this is Fred Rich. The only
Yes.
comment I would have, I get the same raise I got for the last 20 years.
Well, Fred, as chair, I get double the raise that I've been getting. every
Good,
year, so-
And you're both worth every penny of it.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything further on this motion, Gail?
When do we have to redo the plan of conservation and development?
Oh, we have 10 years at least from when we last did it. So I think, isn't that 2027 it would potentially be due?
Did we last do it just 3 years ago? It seems
Was it
like longer than that.
2017 we did it? Is that
I
when we
thought it was
finished it?
longer than that.
I think it might have been 2015.
Let me see.
I don't know. I
Let me
can't
see when it
remember.
is. But remember last time the state gave extensions?
June 2015.
Yep, so it would be due in around 4.5 years. We
Takes
do,
that long to put it together.
right, well, we do have money sitting in an account.
That's what I was thinking, Joe.
We have $18,438.65 that we have not yet used. That still sits in an account for the PLCD, and that's why we have not requested any new money. And in fact, some years ago, the former treasurer had suggested, Barbara Rich had suggested that instead of us at the time going to the Board of Finance asking each year for additional money for that account, to just go ahead and ask for one big lump sum. That was actually approved with the understanding we wouldn't then be asking for more money unless it dropped down below a certain minimum, which we're not that near yet. So we still have that money there. We would, one of the things that I have on my list for 2021 to bring up at our January meeting is actually POCD, where we stand with that, but also where we stand with regards to trying to get back online with these, our planning meetings the first Thursday of every month to pivot back to some of the projects that get put on hold. And we've discussed that before, that we want to pivot back to that. So 2021 would be a year that we would be doing that. So we are going to have to look at the calendar relative to what we want to do or not want to do with timing for any POCD update, and not knowing if the state will give more extensions. Last time it gave a number of years additional beyond just the 10. I forget why they did that. So, but that's where we stand with that. Anything further on the proposed budget? Otherwise, I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
and Tim Young.
Aye.
That so passes, so I'll send in the usual notification that I send in every year to the Selectmen, Board of Finance, and the Treasurer. As far as correspondence, this was in the meeting packet, Lisa was in, I think in mine. You put this in to let us know, Tina, about inland wetlands, their meeting on November 16th? Is that it? Was this in everyone's meeting packet or? did I-
Yes, they wanted you to be aware of how that vote went on that application.
We haven't seen that application yet.
No, but when you do,
Okay, and we'll have to note for this, whatever inland wetlands had to say. So I guess that's something they wanted us to be notified in advance, but any idea when this might be coming to us, Tina? Is this something that?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, so we've been notified and we'll just stay tuned, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any other correspondence that we received. That takes us then to agenda item 15, Commissioner Rich.
Move adjourn.
Is there a second?
I got that.
So motion by Fred Rich, seconded by Tim Young to adjourn the meeting. I'll go through the roll. Joe Adaletta,
Aye.
Mark Lackmer,
Aye.
Sid Blodgett,
Aye.
Gail Dickinson,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
and Tim Young.
Aye.
So I'll note that that was unanimous at 9:22 PM. And once again, Fred, you have an unbroken record of making motions to adjourn that not a single person said no to.
Yeah, you're right.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes.
Take
Take
care,
care, everybody.
everybody.
Yeah,
Stay
you
safe.
too.
Holiday.
Care.
Yep,
Take
thank
care.
you.
Stay safe.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.